Let me ask you something real quick. How many people in your phone could you call right now, like right now, if you needed a strategic introduction, honest career advice, or someone to advocate for you behind closed doors? Not acquaintances, not people who will just like your LinkedIn posts. I'm talking about people who would pick up the phone for you, people who would put their own reputation on the line to say, you need to meet her. She's exceptional. If that number feels smaller than you'd like, you're not alone. And honestly, that's exactly why we're here today. Welcome back to Rise and Thrive. I'm Shay Blackman, and this series is designed specifically for you, the professional Black woman who refuses to accept mediocre advice about navigating spaces that weren't built for us. We're in our third episode of 2026, and we're building momentum. Today, we're digging into Chapter 3 of my book, Rise and Thrive, A Black Woman's Blueprint for Leadership Excellence. And this one hits different. We're talking about building your strategic network. Maya Angelou said it plainly, alone, all alone, nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone. And here's the thing, she wasn't just being poetic, she was stating professional fact. The research backs it up, the data backs it up, and my 24 years in HR leadership, they absolutely back it up. But here's where it gets complicated for us. Networking as a Black woman in corporate America isn't the same game everyone else is playing. We don't always have access to the golf courses, the alumni networks, the my dad knows someone connections. Sometimes we walk into networking events and realize we're the only one in the room who looks like us. Again. So today I'm giving you a different playbook, not generic networking advice, strategic relationship architecture specifically designed for where you are and where you're trying to go. Let's get into it. Alone, all alone. Nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone. Maya Angelou. This quote opens chapter 3 for a reason. Because the myth of the self-made success story, it's a lie. Every leader you admire, every executive, every entrepreneur, every person who seems to have made it has a network behind them. The question isn't whether you need one. The question is whether the one you're building is actually serving you. Let me introduce you to what I call the three-circle network framework. This is how I want you to start thinking about your professional relationships. Circle 1, your inner circle, the advocates. These are your ride or dies professionally. 3 to 5 people maximum. These are the people who will speak your name in rooms you haven't entered yet. They know your work. They know your worth. And when an opportunity comes across their desk, your name is the first one out of their mouth. Here's the thing about your inner circle. These relationships require investment. You can't collect advocates like business cards. You earn them through consistent excellence, genuine reciprocity, and trust built over time. Think about who's in this circle for you right now. And be honest. Is it as strong as it needs to be? Circle 2, your strategic circle, the connectors. This circle is larger, maybe 10 to 15 people. These are professionals who may be in adjacent industries, different departments, or even different career stages. They're valuable not because they'll advocate for you directly, but because they expand your reach. They see opportunities you don't see. They know people you don't know. Here's where I see Black women professionals often struggle. We build networks that look exactly like us. Same industry, same level, same challenges. And while that community is essential for support, it's not sufficient for advancement. Your strategic circle should include people who make you slightly uncomfortable, people operating at levels you're aspiring to, people in spaces you're trying to enter. Circle 3, your extended circle, the community. This is broader, your professional associations, your LinkedIn connections who actually engage, the people you meet at conferences who might not call you tomorrow, but would remember you if the right conversation came up. Most networking advice focuses exclusively on this third circle. Collect as many contacts as possible. That's backwards. If you don't have strength in circles 1 and 2, circle 3 is just noise. So here's your first assignment. Audit your network using this framework. Write down who's actually in each circle, not who you wish was there, who's actually there, because you can't build what you haven't honestly assessed. Let me paint a picture for you. There was a company where a senior director position opened up, one of those roles that wasn't publicly posted but was circulating through back channels. 3 internal candidates were being considered. On paper, all 3 were qualified, but only one of them had a champion on the executive team who said, "I've seen her lead under pressure. She's the one." That candidate got the job, not because she was more qualified, because someone with influence spoke for her when it mattered. Now, let me be clear, I'm not saying this is how it should work. I've spent my career in HR trying to make processes more equitable, but I'm also going to be honest with you about how it often does work, and pretending otherwise doesn't serve you. Here's another scenario we see all the time. 2 professionals, equally talented, navigate a company restructuring. One of them has spent years building relationships only within her immediate team. When the reorg happens, she's isolated. The other has deliberately cultivated connections across departments. She knows people in finance, in operations, in divisions that are expanding rather than contracting. When her role is eliminated, she has 6 conversations within 48 hours that lead to internal opportunities. Same talent, different network strategy, dramatically different outcomes. This is what I mean when I talk about strategic networking. It's not schmoozing, it's not being fake. It's being intentional about building a web of relationships that can support your career when you need it, not scrambling to create one in a crisis. And let me tell you why this matters even more right now in January 2026. We're watching significant shifts in how companies are structuring their workforces. Remote and hybrid work has fundamentally changed how visibility happens. The people who used to get seen by walking past the corner office every day, that organic visibility doesn't exist the same way anymore, which means your network has to be more intentional than ever. You can't rely on proximity. You have to create touch points. You have to ensure that people with influence actually know your work exists. I'm also watching, and you probably are too, continued recalibrations in how organizations approach DEI. Without getting too political here, what I'll say is this: when formal programs shift, informal networks become even more critical. The relationships you've built personally will carry weight that programmatic initiatives cannot replace. This isn't about being cynical, it's about being strategic. The professional landscape in 2026 requires you to take ownership of your career trajectory in ways that weren't as necessary 20 years ago. And your network is one of the most powerful tools you have. Now, I hear you. Shay, this sounds exhausting. I'm already burnt out from work. I don't have the energy for more networking events. I'm introverted. I hate small talk. I get it, truly. So let me give you some strategies that work for real life, not some idealized version of professional development. Strategy 1, the warm reconnection. You don't always have to build new relationships. Sometimes the most powerful move is nurturing ones you already have. Right now, I want you to think of someone you genuinely respect professionally who you've fallen out of touch with. Someone you worked with years ago, someone you met at a conference who made an impression. Reach out, not with an ask, just with genuine connection. I was thinking about our conversation about specific thing. How did that project turn out? Would love to catch up. 1 warm reconnection per month. That's 12 strengthened relationships by the end of the year. That's manageable. Strategy 2. Be a connector, not just a collector. The fastest way to build social capital in your network is to give before you need to receive. When you meet someone new, ask yourself, who in my existing network would benefit from knowing this person? Make the introduction. Be the bridge. People remember who connected them to opportunities. And when you develop a reputation as someone who makes meaningful connections, people want to be in your network. Strategy 3. Strategic visibility in low-energy ways. Not everyone has the bandwidth for after-work mixers and weekend conferences. That's real. So find visibility strategies that match your energy. Comment thoughtfully on industry discussions on LinkedIn, not just great posts, but actual perspective that shows your expertise. Share an article with a personalized note to someone senior. This made me think of the challenge you mentioned in our last meeting. Join the Slack channel or internal committee where decisions get discussed, not just announced. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be strategic about who knows your name. Everything we've talked about today connects directly to my high-value leadership methodology, because here's the truth: your individual excellence will only take you so far. At some point, advancement becomes about who trusts you to lead, who advocates for your capability, and who opens doors that credentials alone won't open. High-value leadership requires that you position yourself not just as competent, but as connected. Connected to the people who make decisions, connected to information flows, connected to opportunities before they're public knowledge. When I work with organizations on culture transformation, one of the patterns I see consistently is this: the leaders who accelerate aren't necessarily the hardest workers or even the most brilliant strategists. They're the ones who've built ecosystems of support around their leadership. They've invested in relationships that pay dividends when it counts. That's what I want for you, not just survival, strategic advantage. Maya Angelou gave us the truth in 5 words. Nobody can make it alone. And listen, asking for help, building connections, investing in relationships, that's not weakness. For Black women especially, there can be this pressure to prove we don't need anyone, to be twice as good while appearing to need half as much support. That's a trap. Don't fall for it. Your network is your net worth. Your relationships are strategic assets, and building them intentionally is one of the smartest investments you can make in 2026 and beyond. So here's what I want you to do. Before you click off this video, I want you to open your phone and send one message to someone in your professional orbit that you've been meaning to reconnect with. Not a pitch, not an ask, just genuine human connection. Do it right now. And then drop in the comments and tell me, who is that one person and what made you think of them? I want to hear it. Let's hold each other accountable. If this content is serving you, grab your copy of Rise and Thrive, A Black Woman's Blueprint for Leadership Excellence. The frameworks we talked about today go so much deeper in Chapter 3. And download my Free Shield Resilient Strategy Guide if you haven't already. It's designed to help you navigate challenges exactly like this with your sanity intact. I'll see you right back here next Wednesday for episode 74, where we're tackling Chapter 4, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome and Building Confidence. Because once you build that network, you have to actually show up in it with confidence. Until then, keep rising, keep thriving, and remember, you don't have to do this alone.